Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of November 17th to the 24th, 2024, where I take a look at a couple of stories that kind of caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion about them. And we got 5 stories to cover this week, including, surprisingly, GTA Trilogy, the definitive edition, has supposedly finally been fixed 3 years after the game has originally came out. Some comments that Phil Spencer has recently made, including some that kind of really caught my attention to a certain degree. We basically are hearing that PS5 Pro Scalpers, or those who are scalping the PS5 Pro, seem to be having a bit of a harder time this time than they were with the base PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series X and Switch when that came out back in 2017. Supposedly we have the numbers out for at least how the PS5 is doing, at least right now, in terms of even with the PS5 Pro, at least according to what Sony's saying. And a look into basically the Palworld versus Nintendo lawsuit, the lawsuit that Nintendo has filed against the developers of Palworld over basically patent infringement to a certain degree. If you're interested in where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And if there's any parts of this video you wish to skip to, I'll have links in the description, or you can, check at the beginning of this video where the timestamps are. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cent. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details. The first one is basically that Stellar Blade is getting the Nier Automata DLC and a photo mode this month, which, again, I'm not against these kind of collaborations if the developers want to do with another game. We saw that before, I think, with Street Fighter 6 and the anime Spy X Family and all. So this one I'm certainly not against. From what I tell, it is basically just, skins and basically just the Photoshop mode, which I'm sure that's going to appeal to some folks out there. Personally, I would have preferred, like story content, DLC, like that kind of stuff. Maybe that will happen at some point down the road, but I would say that's probably something I would have liked to have seen in terms of this Nier Automata Stellar Blade crossover that we were seeing and everything like that. We also learned that basically a new studio being called Lightspeed is basically being opened in Japan, or being worked on with one of the developers who worked at Capcom for 30 years. Supposedly he did, I don't know the person's name, apologize if I can't say his name correctly, but mostly he has worked on several games before, from the Devil May Cry series to the Dragon Dogma series in general. So we'll see how this studio plays out. Supposedly they're aiming for AAA type of experience, but given where the budget for a lot of these AAA games have been, it does throw into some questions about taking that approach and everything like that. We also learned that the producer of the Sonic X Shadow generation would like to remake the worst Sonic game in the series, referring to Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic 06 as it's often referred to. The game was supposedly a broken, buggy mess when that game came out, I believe back in 2006 for the Xbox 360 and the PS5. And also, if it would be very interesting if they did remake that game, though, and it'll be very curious to see if they could pull it off or anything like that or not. So time will tell if that remake does happen, and if so, whether or not they can actually make the game good or make it playable than compared to what the PS5 and the Xbox 360 version was. We also learned that Stalker 2 will be available to download and will be coming out this month, but the file size, that might be questionable depending on which Xbox system you have. It's if you're aiming to get it for Game Pass on Xbox, which according to supposedly the file size that has come out, we are looking at 147.6 gigabytes. So you may have to clear out the fridge in your Xbox Series X and S, or you may have to buy one of those Seagate SD cards or WM Black cards, though. Perhaps maybe the 2 terabyte ones, though. So yeah, this one might take up a lot of space, so you might want to keep that in mind should you decide to get this game on your Xbox Series X and S, whether it's through Game Pass or just buying it outright in general. We also had Nintendo did a direct for basically the upcoming ride at the Super Nintendo World in Japan. This is based off of the Donkey Kong and everything like that. It looks interesting to a certain degree. Obviously, we will see it come to Universal here in America, both in Hollywood and Orlando and all that stuff. Whether or not it's going to be exactly like how it is in Japan or not remains to be seen. I mean, I do think in Japan they do have, at the Super Nintendo World, they do have like the Yoshi ride, which isn't here in Universal Studios in Hollywood, California and all. So might be the same, might be different. We don't know. And I do wonder with this extension for the Donkey Kong thing, I do wonder if that's setting the stage for the possibility ranging from another Donkey Kong game to even maybe Donkey Kong getting his own movie and everything like that. I think with the success of the Super Mario Brothers, the movie, though, I really think Donkey Kong, I think, deserves his own movie and everything like that. But either way, they did show off basically parts of the ride and all. We also had basically a documentary for the upcoming game South of Midnight from Compulsion Games. This is one I'm definitely keeping an eye out, especially when it comes out next year and all, though. It looks interesting, and I am going to be trying it out on Game Pass. The documentary is kind of interesting. It's 30 minutes, though. It's kind of interesting how they made the game and all, so it's worth taking a look at if you have the time. But what also came out was basically the tech and specs for it, though, as it's now been reported, at least according to what some people are saying, is that the game is running on Unreal Engine 4, and they are aiming to target 60 frames per second for the Xbox Series X and S, which I think that's good. I think that's great that they're aiming for that, especially for those who have an Xbox Series S. And they also pointed out a couple of things, though. The game's length is supposedly 12 hours long, as it's difficult to gauge exploration time, so there might be some side quests here and there. And finally, they said you could turn off the stop motion animation except in cutscenes. So obviously, if you don't like the stop motion animation that they were aiming for that game, though, it does look like indicate that you could turn those off, though, but not in sort of the cutscenes or anything like that. So not a bad thing that they add that option as well and all. And in our movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, during an event from Disney, I believe it was in Brazil, they showed off a special look for the upcoming movie Thunderbolt, which has, different characters like from Bucky's, Winter Soldier to, I think US Agent to even, and basically the characters from, Widow and basically other like they're like the not so perfect Avengers, let's just say, and all. But I am looking forward to seeing this movie when it comes out. I believe it will be out next year and all. We also have news that reportedly is being considered for the job to replace Bob Iger, is that EA CEO Andrew Wilson is being considered. Now, granted, nothing has been confirmed at this time. We don't know if he'll take the job or not, though, but obviously, Bob Iger is looking for someone to succeed when he steps down and all. Whether Andrew Wilson takes the job or not remains to be seen and everything like that. We also learned that there are rumors going around that if the Sonic 3 movie performs well, and I'm leaning towards more likely it probably is. I think the first and second one did very well. I think there's a good chance the third one will do very well. They are considering doing a spin-off with Shadow and possibly big plans for the character Silver. The rumor does seem to indicate that they may not do what they did with Knuckles, who had his own spin-off show on Paramount Plus, that Shadow might have his own movie, but again, we don't know. I think a lot of this will depend on how well Sonic the Hedgehog 3 does at the box office. I'm leaning more towards it probably will do well at the box office, but we won't know until the movie comes out next month and all. We also learned that basically there is a possibility that The Penguin might get a season 2 if it happens. It remains to be seen if a season 2 of The Penguin on Max will happen or not. I will say, based on the response the show has gotten and the positive, which has been extremely positive, I would say there's a very good chance we could see a season 2, but we won't know yet when it will happen. If it does happen, it does seem to indicate that it's possible it will probably happen after the Batman Part 2, the sequel to the Batman that came out I think last year and all. So we'll probably have to be waiting for a while if a sequel to the Penguin does happen. There's also been reports of the possibility that we could see something similar with Catwoman and all. So the door is definitely there, given how successful the show has been. So we'll see if a second season does happen or not. And finally, the head of Xbox, obviously Phil Spencer, was actually glad that a Fallout 5 was not ready to launch with the show and everything like that. He thinks that it benefited the Amazon TV show and all. For those who are not familiar, when Fallout premiered on Amazon Prime, it definitely got the best response and people did enjoy it. And they did see some uptick in Fallout 4 and other entries of the Fallout video game and all. So obviously, though, some might have been disappointed that Fallout 5 wasn't there to capitalize on it, but obviously Xbox doesn't think that was a bad thing and everything like that. Obviously, Fallout 5 is going to happen, but that won't be until after Elder Scrolls 6 is done, which is currently in the works as we speak and all. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Palworld versus Nintendo. Now, obviously, by this point, most people have heard of Palworld and all, and it made its debut first on Xbox via Game Pass before, I think, making its way eventually to the PS5, although there's that lawsuit issue, which I will get to. And there have been some wondering whether or not Nintendo was going to take action against the studio, mostly because, given Nintendo's history and everything like that, they are, let's just say, well known to being very notorious in terms of protecting their IPs and everything like that. And as I said before in the past, sometimes I think they're in the right, though. Other times, I think Nintendo can go a bit overboard when it comes to basically their IPs and everything like that. Recently, obviously, Nintendo has filed a lawsuit against the developers, and they cite on the patents as one of the issue, ranging from the catching, these creatures and everything like that with the ball and so forth, though. However, not everyone seems to agree with basically Nintendo's decision. One of those is by the person named of Florence Miller, if I'm saying his name correctly. He's supposedly known as a merger and patent expert. He gave details of the situation surrounding when Microsoft was buying Activision Blizzard and the whole court case, how that played out and everything like that. In an article from Nintendo Life, this is what the article is mentioning. It says, quote, patent expert Florence Miller, again, if I'm saying this incorrectly, has released an extensive exam into the lawsuit filed against Palworld developer Pocket Pair from Nintendo. In it, he describes Nintendo action as clear case of bullying against Pocket Pair, citing the former status as a far older and larger company with extensive experience in patent prosecution and patent infringement litigation. Though it was recently revealed that Nintendo was going to be was seeking an injunction against Palworld to halt sales in Japan, with additional possibility of Nintendo looking to escalate the dispute in further jurisdiction. The problem highlighted by Miller is that Nintendo has not identified a single patent that actually exists at the time of Palworld's release, and has instead chose to file updated patent applications from 2021 in February, March, and July of this year, and expanded them in Japanese court. It has also been noted that none of the patents filed by Nintendo contain specific technological inventions and are mere mechanics that Nintendo itself acknowledged has been featured in other games. Rather, the patent are related to specifically game rules held within the Pokemon franchise, and are therefore said to be unpatentable anywhere in the world. In conclusion, Miller states that that an analysis of the situation suggests there is no genuine plagiarism on Pocket Pair's part, and that Nintendo's actions are merely an attempt to leverage the patent system against a smaller company and late entry to the market. In speaking with Game Rant, Miller also said that the lawsuit will likely take several years to resolve. So it looks like we're in this for the long haul. So obviously, this patent analyst believes that doesn't buy Nintendo's argument whatsoever, and believes that it is account to bullying and everything like that. And that might be possibly true. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm not ignoring the fact that it does seem a bit odd or strange to some degree that Nintendo has decided to file this around the time that Palworld started to really blow up and start to take off and everything like that. It does question sort of the timing on this, though. And I mean, I kind of understand why. I mean, there are plenty of other games that are try to follow similar to a Pokemon route, and yet I haven't seen Nintendo really go after them or anything like that. So I do question Nintendo's decision to really go after the developers over this game, to be exact. Even though I'm not into Pokemon or Palworld or anything like that, I still question Nintendo's decision. How many years this may take remains to be seen, though. It is possible that they could settle this out of court and everything like that, though. So we'll see what happens. And I can understand why some people might view this as a big corporation taking on the little guy or the small developer and everything like that, though. And so, yeah, I'm kind of mixed on Nintendo doing this and everything like that. Again, I understand they have a right to protect their IPs, but as I said before, there are times when it goes a little bit overboard. And if this game is doing stuff that basically Pokemon should be doing, then perhaps maybe Nintendo and Game Freak need to do a better job fixing the mechanics in Pokemon, looking at ways to improve the game, rather than at the state that they shipped the games in, especially the last Pokemon games, and how that got criticized by a lot of technical issues that started to emerge for that one. So overall, very interesting to see the situation between Palworld and Nintendo. It'll be very interesting to see how many years we have to wait until there is a conclusion to this, though. It's possible they could settle this out of court. It's possible that Nintendo wants to go into this for the long haul. But I don't deny the fact that I do question Nintendo's decision to go after this developer at a time when the game really started to, or Palworld to be exact, started to take off and everything. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with supposedly the numbers coming out in regards of the PS5 release from Sony. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at the PS5, especially with some of the numbers that have come out, though. So obviously for Sony, the PS5 this generation, I mean, it got off to somewhat of a rough start, though, but eventually it started to pick up and everything like that. And the latest numbers seem to indicate that the PS5 and maybe the PS4 Pro, depending on who you're asking, PS5 Pro, excuse me, sorry about that, depending on who you're asking, seem to be doing very well, despite, the dislike and some criticism over the decision to launch a mid-gen system, along with basically, the price point for the PS5 Pro. So over at GameIndustry.biz, it points out, it highlights a bunch of the numbers in terms of net sales, game network, and everything like that, and operating income. But in terms of the hardware, this is what they had to say. Quote, PlayStation hardware profitability has also improved, but sales continue to decline. 6.2 million PS5 consoles were shipped in the 6-month period, more than half of which was in the 3 months ended September 30th, but this is down on the 8.2 million shipped in the same period last year. The H1 shipment brings PS5 lifetime shipment to 65 million. 131.3 million full games were shipped during the first half of the first year, of which 11.3 were first-party games. Coincidentally, this is the same number of first-party games that have shipped in the same period last year, but the total game shipment only reaches 124.1 million in fiscal year 2024, further demonstrating the rise of third-party game sales this year. Among the platform holder sales highlight, September's Astrobot shipped 1.5 million copies worldwide in its first month. The company has also updated Ghost of Tsushima's lifetime shipment figures, now at 13 million across both PC and PS5. Monthly active users on the PlayStation Plus for second quarter came in at 116 million, unchanged from previous quarter, but up from 107 million reported this time last year. So, I mean, hardware seems to be doing very well, but to hear the highlight of Astrobot doing well for them is actually very good. I'm hoping the game's success, though, does send a message to Sony in terms of basically, not every game has to be a narrative-driven experience, though. You could do some of these smaller titles and maybe help fill in the gap as you basically work towards those big kind of experience and all. Not to mention, it kind of highlights this game did well compared to what Concord basically did. So I'm hoping the success of Astrobot opens the door to maybe not only doing another Jack and Daxter or another another entry in the Sly Cooper series, or maybe another Ratchet and Clank game. That would be great if they could do that as well. So I'm hoping that is the case, but time will tell if that happens at all. As far as the PS5 Pro goes, though, supposedly basically, according to Sony, they seem to be happy with it, at least what the CFO is saying, which the CFO has confirmed it's currently beating the PS4 Pro when it comes to sales numbers during the same period. This is from Tweaktown. Basically pointing out, additionally, the CEO or CFO spoke on the number of sales of the PS5 Pro have achieved since launch, and surprisingly, especially considering the recent criticism surrounding the console and reflected by the like and dislike ratio on the PS5 Pro launch video, which points out to 7.1k likes to 9.7 dislikes. The PS5 Pro is selling better than the PS5 Pro did during the same week. The CEO says, quote, I'm under the impression that the product is performing slightly stronger than the pre-orders for the PS5 Pro during the same period, so I don't think it's adversely affecting the product sales plan. Now, obviously, this is from the CFO, so you could take his word to it whether you think he's telling the truth or not. But if what he's saying is true, then despite some of the backlash against the PS5 Pro, though, it doesn't seem to have prevented the game system from doing very well. So assuming what the CFO is saying is true, that's obviously has to be good news for Sony indeed. Seeing PS5 still doing very well, but seeing something like Astrobot do very well indeed. So overall, these are good numbers indeed, obviously, for Sony. Not perfect, but still good nevertheless. Obviously, the CFO is basically saying, yeah, the PS5 Pro is selling very well, though I would have liked to see the actual numbers indeed. And assuming you're taking the CFO's words seriously, or think that what he's saying is correct, though, then obviously the PS5 Pro is certainly off to a very good start for Sony, despite some of the criticism about the mid-gen refresh and I believe the $700 price tag and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with the whole situation surrounding the scalpers with the PS5 Pro and how they're not having as much luck as they did when the base PS5 and to some extent the Xbox Series X did when those systems came out. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my True Cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look with the PS5 Pro, but this time with the whole situation surrounding the scalpers and all. Now, one of the most annoying things that I think a lot of folks tend to do when a console launch is basically either buy the system and then try to sell it at a high price because it's like a hot new item and everything like that. But we've also seen cases where basically some of them will even try to pull that when trying to buy a system online, whether it's, through Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy, whatever the place may be, though. And it has gotten annoying over the years. And it got even worse when the PS5 and the Xbox Series X came out back around when COVID was just around, and that made things even worse to basically try to find a system. And it was really annoying for a lot of folks who were trying to get their hands on that system in general and all. Well, when the PS5 Pro started to announce, many were kind of wonder, could we see something similar as well when that system finally launches? But at least according to some reports, it doesn't seem to be the case, sort of to a certain extent. In an article from Video Game Chronicles, it reads that scalpers looking to capitalize on the release of the PS5 Pro are struggling to make a profit due to its general ready availability, though. It points out that eBay UK sellers and eBay currently had numerous sellers listing the £700 console for less than its retail price. A number of sellers currently have it at Buy It Now on sale for £680 to £700, while others have auctioned currently sitting between £510 and £607. While these auctions will likely rise before they end, it seems less likely they will surpass the £700 retail price. The situation appears to be the same in other countries, including Japan. Aulx Research Institute report that while the console is now seemingly sold out at most Japanese retailers, some stores were selling it throughout most of the launch day without the need for reservation. On Japanese resale site Mersad, if I'm saying it correctly, sellers are reported selling the console for 10,000 yens to 20,000 yens more than the retail price, which is $65 to $130. But Aulx Research Institute knows that because Mersad if I'm saying it correctly, takes a 10% cut in shipping costs, they also have to be considered. This still results in many resellers either breaking even or taking a loss. They also reported that numerous sellers on Mercari are selling it for lower than the retail price, stating that they're selling it at a discount because multiple items were purchased. While the item, while it appears that the console is generally available for those who want it, however, scalpers haven't completely abandoned the PS5 Pro. Instead, its console external disk drives sold separately that's in short supply are being scalped out. The disk drive is supposedly sell for $79.99, $80 here in the US, and £100 in the UK, but it's currently sold out at every major retailer, and as a result, eBay UK sellers are posting Buy It Now listings selling the unit for £150 to £250. And just to give you some idea, though, I mean, when I went to pick up Mario Luigi Brothership at my local GameStop, they had like a PS5 Pro there ready for someone to purchase, and they did. And even when I went to purchase Dragon Quest III HD 2D for the Nintendo Switch, and went at the same GameStop, they still also had basically a PS5 Pro there for somebody to purchase and all. So obviously, we're not seeing the supply and demand situation like we did with the base PS5 and the Xbox Series X, though. And yeah, I mean, a lot of these scalpers are not going to be pleased the fact they're not going to flip them and make a boatload of money as they had originally thought. Obviously, the disk drive attachment, however, seems to be faring better for the scalpers, though, which is a little bit annoying, especially for those who are thinking about getting the disk drive attachment for their PS5 Pro. But in either case, it seems as though for consumers, I think this is a good thing because it means that basically they can go into a store and be able to find and get a PS5 Pro without worrying about a scalper buying more than one and everything like that, or go online to be exact. So this is somewhat of a good thing, although the whole situation surrounding the disk drive attachment is a little bit disappointing at all. So overall, obviously scalpers are having a hard time with the PS5 Pro, but I think for the consumer, for the average consumer, I think that is a good thing and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 4, and this one has to do with basically has to do with Phil Spencer and some comments that he made during an interview with Bloomberg and everything like that. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at Phil Spencer, who did a couple of interviews here and there. Now, obviously there's been a lot of stuff been going around in the background of basically with Xbox and everything like that, including some of the directions that they have been going. Some have viewed that as controversial, others see it as probably a wise direction for them to go, given where the industry is, to be exact though. And he even had to issue a statement recently over ZeniMax workers basically going on strike and everything like that. So there are a couple things that kind of caught my attention though. Obviously there are some saying like he believes that they're in the market for a new development team. So despite what happened with the whole situation with Activision Blizzard, they don't seem to be ending their acquisition spree anytime soon and everything like that. But as far as basically other stuff though, that kind of certainly caught my attention and everything like that. In regards to what's going on with ZeniMax, they basically issued a statement regarding this though. It had to do with basically at 4 different locations at Maryland and Texas though. And supposedly the report is that they are striking over supposedly related to an alleged lack of progress at the bargaining table over remote work, along with claims of unintentionally outsourcing quality assurance work without bargaining with the union. Basically, this is what the ZeniMax workers union had to say. First, it said, quote, "Today we are on strike. We are not afraid to do what's necessary to make sure that Microsoft meets us at the bargaining table over key issues like remote work options and outsourcing. We deserve job security and improved working conditions. Hundreds of our members are striking from 10 to 6 p.m. in Maryland and Texas today to tell Microsoft to stop dragging their feet, though." They did provide a statement to IGN with various outlets about the strike, simply stating that the company will continue to listen to address their concerns. The statement said, quote, we respect our employees' right to express their point of view as they have done today. We will continue to listen and address their concerns at the bargaining table." Now, what comes out of this, though, remains to be seen, and hopefully this issue will be resolved as soon as possible, though. I will say Microsoft, I will give them credit for remaining neutral when it comes to these studios choosing to unionize and everything like that. I'll give them some credit for that, but I still stand with the workers and everything like this. Nevertheless, though, hopefully they can get back to the table and they can basically iron this out as soon as possible, but we'll see how this all plays out indeed. In terms of basically other things though, most people may have been aware that Microsoft has started this campaign of "This is Xbox" and all, and they're advertising stuff from like the Xbox console to "This is Xbox." You could play it through, like a mobile, like a PC device, stream it through your TV and everything like that though. And the message seems to have been mixed for some folks out there, and many fear like this is the end for the Xbox console and everything like that. However, it doesn't seem to indicate that basically that's the end of the console and everything like that. This is what a comment that Phil Spencer said when speaking to Rolling Stones. He said, quote, we are definitely doing more consoles in the future and other devices. Our biggest growth in the Xbox player is PC and cloud. The console space isn't growing across all of them. We love those customers, but in terms of continuing to expand and grow Xbox, it's about PC, it's about cloud, and it's about making our games more available in more places. So, at least according to what Phil Spencer is saying, this isn't the end of the consoles. They're still going to do consoles, but their strategy, as most Xbox owners have been seeing so far, has been just beyond the console. It's going to be, other, PC, cloud, and maybe putting their games on other systems as well. And that's, I think, for some console purists, though, that may not be something they want to hear, though. My take is I'm not hugely bothered by this. I'm still going to buy a console and everything like that, but I'm not bothered by this as much. But obviously, not everyone shares this view, though. I mean, maybe this might be good for the Xbox console, but time will ultimately tell if this is an Xbox basically will work or anything like that. Continuing on with the console side of it, though, it does seem that there were some questions that Phil Spencer was asking when speaking with Bloomberg, and two of them seemed to indicate that kind of caught my attention. One has to do with the fact about the whole rumors about the handheld and everything like that. For those who are not familiar, there have been basically been some rumors going around that Microsoft might be in the works on doing like a handheld device, to be exact, though. It's been going back and forth and everything like that. And it does seem to be that Microsoft might be working on one, although it is kind of coy the way Phil Spencer was saying this. According to Pure Xbox, it says that, or at least according to what they're saying, this is what he said when in an interview with Bloomberg. Long term, I love us building devices, and I think our team could do some real innovation work, but we want to be informed by learning and what is happening now, though. And obviously, they're basically saying, quotes, don't expect it anytime soon, or anything like that. So, to some degree, it does sound like they are basically working on a handheld device, though. Whether it sees light of day or not, that remains to be seen. I think a handheld device from Xbox could work if they execute it correctly, though. I think one of the areas is that it does have to be native, though. It cannot be basically, just streaming only, though. I do think streaming does have some limitations, so I do think they do need to figure out a way to make it that you can play your games natively and everything like that. So we'll have to wait and see when we'll see when we see this device and everything like that. It might be the next generation of console. That is a possibility and everything like that. But for now, I think the closest thing of playing Xbox on the go is outside of just streaming a game. There's the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally at this time, to be exact and all. And last but not least, and this is the one that kind of caught my attention, is the whole issue of bringing their games over to other systems. There has been some talks about the possibility of a red line or something like that, though, and Phil Spencer recently has responded to this. Now, before we begin, basically there were some rumors basically pointing out that there may be a red line in terms of what games may or may not appear on other systems and everything like that. This was later somewhat debunked by the head of Microsoft, I think Satya Nadella, if I'm saying his name correctly, and now Phil Spencer has weighed in on this, and this is what he said to Bloomberg, saying, quote, I do not see sort of red line in our portfolio that says thou must not. So it sounds like that means that no, they could bring any game they want to over to any other platform and everything like that. Whether that means Halo could make its way over to the PS5 or even the Nintendo Switch or Switch successor, that remains to be seen, and that would be really interesting if something like that happens or not. So time will ultimately tell if that's the case, but at least according to what Phil Spencer is saying, nope, there is no red line or anything like that. So we'll see if they decide to bring any more games over to basically other systems or not. It's possible that could be the case, but it may not be the case at all. So overall, some interesting statements from Phil Spencer. Indeed, though, obviously the handheld one was kind of interesting to me, though. We'll still have to wait for it, though, but I am very curious if it does see the light of day and how the handheld would play. And the fact that they are confirming, Phil Spencer confirming himself, is saying there's no red line, does to me indicate, opens the door to the possibility that Halo could be making its way to like other systems at all. Granted, there's no guarantee that is the case, and I could be absolutely wrong, but it does seem to indicate that the door is open for that possibility and everything like that. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fifth and final part, and this one has to do with the GTA Trilogy and supposedly the game finally being fixed and everything. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fifth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I want to be talking about is the GTA Trilogy and supposedly the fix that has finally come for that game. Now, most of you may remember a couple years ago, Rockstar basically announced that they were bringing 3 of the GTA classics, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, to, at the time, the modern consoles. That was for, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch, and PC, and even Apple devices at all. And there were some interesting features that they were going to add, including a better save system, to basically being able to aim better in terms of basically, shooting enemies and everything like that. And it definitely got some excitement, but it also gained some controversy, including the delisting of the original the GTA Trilogy. Well, when the game came out and everything like that, it was hammered badly, though. The game was heavily criticized for several technical issues. Some of the character models were not doing great. There were some issues the game wasn't running well on some systems, including the Nintendo Switch and all. And Rockstar and the developers, Grove Street Studio, were heavily criticized. Even the CEO of Take-Two Interactive was criticized over making comments saying how well, despite the backlash, how well the game sold and everything like that. It prompted to a point that even Rockstar had to respond, saying that this is not what they had intended and it was below the standards that they were doing. Supposedly, they was ranging from offering refunds to offering the original games available on the Rockstar launcher and everything like that, though that was considered controversial to a lot of folks out there. And even Grove Street Studios was criticized, saying that this whole controversy has put their names out there. I don't know if that's a wise thing to say and everything like that. And over the years, the game definitely got patched, but was not at the standard that a lot of people were hoping for. And while the game supposedly sold 10 million copies, others believe, like Michael Patrick, believed that they knew the game was a major flop. In fact, the backlash supposedly was so bad that there were reports coming out that Rockstar shelved really any attempt to do a remaster or remake of GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption and focus on GTA 6. Although it is worth pointing out that Red Dead Redemption would make its way to the PS4, PS5, and the Nintendo Switch, but not in the remaster form or anything like that at all. Well, over the years, we've seen sort of the game, like I mentioned before, get patched, but then it would also be released on Netflix's gaming, which that game got a better response. It was handled by a different studio than Grove Street Studio and all. And that one got pretty much praised for doing stuff that made the game more enjoyable than the console and the PC version, which, yeah, it's kind of sad to see that version do better than the other ones, to be exact. Well, recently it does seem to indicate, though, that basically a new patch and a new thing has come out to supposedly finally fix the game, though. And even the Nintendo Switch version got fixed to a certain extent. In an article from basically from Video Game Chronicles, it reads that, quote, Tuesday's surprise updates seem to have made big improvement. Patch notes simply noted that the classic lightning mode previously added to the mobile version of last year's GTA Trilogy has been added to the console. By itself, this appears to have proved the trilogy's visual significance, but fans have noticed that there are more changes than Rockstar has mentioned. X-user BESK has extensive detail improving that they discovered so far in the trilogy, most notably new fire, rain, fog, and glass breaking effects, new and fixed animation, extra bloom and lighting effects, and more. Players can now run while aiming certain weapons, pause cutscenes, see date and time info on the game save, view their correct position on the world map, and more and everything like that. So obviously that has basically supposedly fixed a lot of the problems and everything like that. Even the Nintendo Switch got some improvements. They pointed out that there were numerous fixes and improvements. Add classic lightning mode, which restores the look and feel of the sky in the original game. They also pointed out crouching has been fixed as well. It also pointed out that supposedly Grove Street Games, the developers of the trilogy, have been removed from the credits as part of the patch for reasons unknown, which they have also responded to this as well. They responded in terms of the decision to remove it did not sit very well with the CEO. Let me see. Let me go back, see if I can go back. No. Okay. Let me see if I can get that article back up and running though. Something happened with one of these things. Okay, hold on. Oh wait, there we go. Okay, here we go. Apparently, the developer was not. Grove Street Studios was not happy with them being removed. This is what he had. This is what the CEO had to say. Quote: "Speaking entirely hypothetical, it's a dick move to remove primary developers from the credit in an update, especially when an update includes hundreds of fixes that were provided by those developers that stayed out of the players' hands for years," this person wrote. Now, I will say to some extent that is true, but Grove Street Studio didn't do itself any favor with how the game launched and everything like that, though. It also didn't do themselves any favor when they made some comments that didn't exactly go over very well with basically with the community, to be exact. I'm not saying I'm defending those who basically harass the developers. I strongly condemn that. But they didn't help when they said something like, hey, this whole thing is good publicity for us, which, no, it's not. It is not. And I can also understand Rockstar wanting to distance themselves from Grove Street Studio to a certain degree, given the bad receptions these games got, and them having to work really hard to earn back people's trust to a certain degree, much like how we saw with CD Projekt Red after how Cyberpunk 2077 was launched, to the point that was so bad they had to offer, CD Projekt Red had to offer refunds to earning back people's trust after the disastrous launch. That is the case though, and that's kind of how I'm seeing it right now with the GTA Trilogy though. I appreciate the fact that the developers who basically put their time and effort to fix this game after what happened a couple years ago with the launch, but that still isn't an excuse for this game to launch in the state that it was in. That was absolutely downright despicable in my view, and to charge $60 for it to basically make people beta testers, yeah, that's not great and everything like that. These games should never have launched in the condition as it was, and I think the CEO of Grove Street Studio and Take-Two Interactive did not do any favors when they made these comments trying to paint this in a positive light in any way. So I'm great that the game has been fixed though, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that this kind of behavior should never had, or the game should have never shipped in this condition that it is right now. And it's one of the reasons why I am concerned with GTA 6 after seeing how this was handled, that they may not learn anything from this and launch the game not in a great state or anything like that. Again, we won't know until GTA 6 comes out, so time will ultimately tell in this game, tell if that's the case, but I'm hoping lessons were learned from this situation. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm hope that there is some lessons taken away from this whole situation, indeed. So overall, I would say great that they finally fixed the game and everything like that, though. While I can understand it's a dick move to remove the original developers, I can understand why given the backlash that was generated from how Aulx Studio handled the game and everything like that. And I'm hoping lessons were learned from this situation, especially should they decide to do a remake or a remaster of, say, Grand Theft Auto 4 or anything like that. And I'm hoping GTA 6 has a better launch than the way the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition did at all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the whole Palworld versus Nintendo's lawsuit, though? Do you think Nintendo is in the right for what they're doing, or do you think that they are going way overboard in terms of this lawsuit and all? What do you think about the whole sales situation with the PS5? Do you think these are good numbers, that the PS5 is selling very well? Do you think Astrobot did very well? Do you think that will convince Sony to maybe rethink some of their strategy in terms of first-party games in any way? And what are your thoughts about the whole PS5 Scalper situation? Are you glad that scalpers are having a hard time trying to flip or try to sell the PS5 Pro on eBay and all? Were you lucky enough to be able to get a PS5 Pro when it has come out and all? What do you think about some of the comments Phil Spencer has said this week, though? Do you think he was right in terms of promoting this is an Xbox promotion that we are seeing from them? Do you think it was right for him to say that there is no red line in terms of bringing Xbox games over to other systems? Do you think he was right in terms of saying that it might be years away, might be a while until we see, like an Xbox handheld and all? And what do you think about this update for the GTA Trilogy? Do you think it was better late than never? Are you glad that this update has finally come? Or do you feel like the damage has been done so badly that there's no way people are going to consider buying the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.